Can technology and professional wrestling form a perfect tag team? Well, today on Tech Talks Daily, I'm going to be exploring this unique intersection with Ralph Riley, Director of Broadcast IT Systems at WWE. Our encounter started with a shared laugh over my admission that John Cena is mysteriously following me on X, and me cheekily asking him if he could find out why and if he actually listens to the podcast. But this quickly transitioned into an intriguing conversation about wrestling moves and cutting-edge technology. My kind of conversation. So, Ralph started his journey as an IT intern at WWE way back in 2019, and since then, though, inspiringly, he's ascended through various roles to where he now oversees the integration of sophisticated network solutions like Cisco's Thousand Eyes into WWE's broadcast systems. But Ralph's story is not just about wrestling. It's about tackling the dynamic challenges of live broadcast technology, all in the world of sports entertainment. So I want to learn more about that, and also how from humble beginnings on the help desk to travelling globally with WWE's event technical operations, he's been at the forefront of wrestling that millions of fans enjoy. But what about that technology that makes it all possible? Well, buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Cisco Live here in Vegas, where we're going to learn more about how WWE is leveraging Cisco's technology to maintain high-quality broadcasts, and also how these solutions mitigate potential disruptions during live events. And yes, there will be a few wrestling moves mentioned along the way too. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me. My name is Ralph Riley. I'm the Director of Broadcast IT Systems for WWE. And what I do for my day-to-day is I help manage the TV engineer and broadcast engineer network for our television studio located in Stamford, Connecticut. I help manage our Cisco equipment, our firewalls, our routers, our load balancers, and anything that kind of sits in our data center at our TV studio. And I also help liaise with our cybersecurity team on our corporate side to make sure that our network and our infrastructure is secure as well. So that's a really high-level overview of my day-to-day responsibilities.
Just hearing you talk there, it really resonated with me because I love sharing origin stories on this podcast. And when I did a little research on you, your career with WWE started as an IT intern. I think it was way back in 2009. You've since progressed to Director of Broadcast IT Systems. So how has this journey shaped your approach to managing WWE's broadcast IT infrastructure? I've got a feeling there's a bit of a story there, right?
Yes, there definitely is a story. And just to coincide with WWE, we love telling stories, and that's really what drives our business. But mine is a real story, but it is one in itself. My first week on the job as an IT intern while I was still at school for my undergraduate degree, I was tasked with replacing CRT monitors from all of our departments as we were going under a refresh from, again, those large CRT monitors to flat screen monitors. And then that evolved into refreshes for standard equipment, keyboards, mice, Blackberries at the time, you name it. And I said to myself, this is what it's like to be in corporate America, but thank goodness I'm here because I'm working for WWE, something that I've followed my whole life. And that evolution started really with hardware to kind of knowing the ins and outs, the IOs, the processes of what our users were using at WWE. Because to be quite frank, I really didn't know what was the backbone of what made the company in itself work. And to kind of integrate that with technology and being able to get my hands on to what they were using from a tech perspective was fascinating to me at that time. And just me being a very interested person, I said, well, what more can I do? What more can I do to help the individuals at the company? And thankfully, we've always had a great team, whether it was the IT department or even their other departments nestled within applications, networking, programs, business applications, et cetera. And they allowed me to kind of see what everyone did. And I gravitated a lot towards, I would say, troubleshooting the issues from a application and presentation level. And then it kind of just grew from there. It grew from supporting users from a higher end perspective, supporting the executive users as my trust and knowledge of the systems began to grow. And for me personally, I said to myself, what's the next step from here? I'm always looking to open that next door, especially from a career oriented level. And at the time, I really saw a fascination in networking. Unfortunately, there wasn't any room for additions on that team, but fortunately, WWE allows you to kind of go into different avenues. So we're separated, I would say, in 3 different aspects. There's our corporate department and our corporate structure. There's our TV department, and then there's our road crew. So our road crew, they travel across the country and help support all of our shows that we broadcast on a weekly basis, Raw, SmackDown, and also our PLEs. And they came to Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is close to Stamford, Connecticut. And I said to my boss, "Hey, do you mind if I can go out there and help them from a help desk level?" And he said, "Have at it." And that's what helped open that door to the road team. And long story short, it allowed me to be on that team whenever they're in the area regionally. And I helped them liaise between them needing equipment on the road and supporting the staff that was growing at the time there to also reporting back and kind of giving my help desk team the ins and outs of what they needed. So it was a great bridge, a great closing up the gap of something that was constantly moving and was maybe somewhat forgotten about from the corporate level. But for me personally, I said, what can I do to expand my career, outside of the help desk on the road? And that's where the networking came in. And being on the road was just an excellent time for my career personally, because everywhere we went from arena to arena, and that varied each and every day, was a different infrastructure. And I had some great mentors on the road that allowed me to really get my hands on to the Cisco gear that was there and configure new every time each arena we went to in order to get our internet to liaise and integrate with the infrastructure that was at the arena. And that infrastructure varied from a set of cable modems that were just lying on the ground in a boiler room, all the way to a great IO system that was high-end, neat, and configured in a loading dock. But everything was different, and I really, again, like I said, I had the mentors there that showed me how to do it. And I coupled that with learning mechanisms from Cisco and also other outside training to really enhance my skill set there. So from the road, I transitioned from being there to the TV studio in Stamford, Connecticut, which at the time was a mile down the road from the corporate office where I started. So it was a little bit of coming home, but a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I allowed my skill set from networking on the road to help manage the network over at the TV studio. And that's where I am now. And it's grown and evolved ever since. Since I moved back to the TV studio, we've moved into a new building right off of I-95 in Stamford, Connecticut, which is a state-of-the-art building, which also encompasses our corporate office and our TV studio. And recently, we just procured brand new Cisco Nexus gear to help be the backbone of our infrastructure and our data center there. So it's exciting times. We're really nestled in our day 2 ops, and it's been a fun journey.
Wow.
Just picking up those CRT monitors to where I am now.
Yeah, that's an incredible journey. And for anybody that's young listening, wanting to go into the world of IT, that's the only way to learn, is it, out there in the field configuring things. And you've almost been on a journey with Cisco and watching the equipment and everything evolve with you almost, it feels.
Absolutely, yeah. When I started with the TV studio, we started out with a mix of different systems based on our post-production needs. There were certain pieces of gear that we had to use in order to be compliant with those systems. And that's what I inherited. And we had very legacy Catalyst systems, legacy Nexus systems, and it worked. But to be able to migrate that now into a unified platform that's spine and leaf with Cisco's brand new Nexus 9000 architecture, you can really see the contrast of performance. And especially us in media and entertainment, where video and audio and everything is of such high importance to be at such a high performance level.
So are you a fan as well as?
Yeah, so I've been a fan of WWE pretty much since I was a child. My grandfather got me into the product, and he watched it religiously on TV, and I was just fascinated by it. And I said to myself, I would love to work for the company one day. And when I was a senior in school, I saw they had internship opportunities available. And my first semester, unfortunately, they didn't have anything available in the IT realm, which is what I went to school for my undergraduate degree. But I was persistent. I still am persistent. And my second half of my senior year, I said, hey, I reached out my first half. Is there something available now? And I said, oh yeah, actually there is. And it was just kind of being persistent and asking that question and not giving up. That kind of allowed me to enter the door of WWE.
Wow.
So it's been pretty cool.
Well, you're going to make me feel very old now, but when you're talking about with your grandfather there and being into WWE, what era was this? Because for me, it was obviously Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, but Who would it be for you? Because you're a little bit younger than me.
Yeah, so that he started. I grew up as a young child in the '90s, so I was very much into the Hulk Hogan, the Bushwhackers, Tatanka, all of the classic characters from the '90s. But he watched it much earlier, even when I wasn't born. And so he was a fan of Bruno Sammartino and a lot of Chief Jay Strongbow, and a lot of wrestlers from his time when he was younger.
Fast forward to 2024, WWE's implementation of Cisco's Thousand Eyes has also significantly reduced mean time to resolution, or MTTR, for network-related issues. So can you share a few specific examples of how this technology has improved your operations during live events, just for the non-techies listening, to help them understand how it all works?
Sure. So when I was out, and again, I've had the great pleasure of working in all three facets and silos of the tech organization of WWE. And one of the things that we need to measure and constantly be on the lookout for is how reliable is our connection from the TV studio to our corporate network, and especially to the road. How can we measure those metrics and be alerted for any inconsistencies, drops, latency issues, throughput issues, bandwidth issues from our TV studio to the road? And Thousand Eyes has allowed us to do that in an automated and programmable way that other technology hasn't in the past. So we've set up tests within Thousand Eyes that specifically monitor agents from our TV studio to agents on the road that will be the first to inform us of those metrics. And it's made our team very happy. It's made the road team very happy. And more importantly, it's made our managers and superiors happy to be able to have reports available that say, here's the percentage of availability, here's the percentage of uptime, here's when the issues occurred. And we're very grateful to be using a platform that's also continuously evolving. So we're very excited for what we've done within Thousand Eyes and what we're looking ahead with Thousand Eyes as well.
And given the challenges of maintaining that robust IT infrastructure for live broadcasts, especially in diverse global locations, and you set the scene perfectly when in your younger years going through all these different venues and different infrastructures, how do you ensure that seamless network performance and ultimately reliability for those WWE television trucks that are outside, away from the main event then?
Yeah, so when we think about reliability, especially with our technology at both the road and also in our TV studio, we look at what products do we have and are they built out efficiently? So we had the pleasure of working with a great team at Cisco and Thousand Eyes and helping us implement those metrics that were specific to what we do on the road. So Neil, when you think about it, our road operations are never up for a sustained amount of time. Sans our biggest event of the year, WrestleMania, where we're up for 7 days plus. So we have to make sure that when we're testing, when we're looking at these metrics within Thousand Eyes or whatever monitoring platform that we use, which also we're utilizing Nexus Dashboard, we want to make sure that if we have communications of the road, that the alerts and the metrics are available are set within the parameters of which the networks are up on the road. And we've built that, we've implemented that, and we've verified that for our tests that are implemented with the road. So there's no false reports. There's no anomalous activity that would be outside of that range that would deter like an executive report from being true to the metrics. And that's something that we're grateful that Thousand Eyes has that availability to do that for the availability of which our road network is up.
So how has the integration of Cisco's network intelligence solutions into WWE's broadcast IC systems, how has that impacted your team's ability to also proactively detect and respond to network anomalies? Because I would imagine that stuff like that can happen when you least expect it.
Yeah, so Neil, we're fortunate and maybe a little bit not so fortunate to have a small team. And we wear many hats within our engineer and TV engineer and environment. So we do have to be involved in a lot of different processes, whether it's application support, whether it's system infrastructure support, and of course, what I manage, the network support. So when we look at Cisco reliability, especially with the applications that they've given us, we want to make sure that, especially now that we're in this new building, that our day two ops are solidified. So what my team and what I'm involved in is making sure Thousand Eyes is built the way that we need it to be built in terms of the metrics and alerting that are required within the platform. So we've had Thousand Eyes for a number of years now. We're looking forward to the new enhancements within Thousand Eyes. And again, that provides us with a lot of encouragement to the product itself. And for us, we want to make sure that the integrations within Thousand Eyes are seamlessly spread throughout our small team. So that involves API connections into Slack, into our ticketing systems. We want to make sure we're alerted as fast as we can be. So that way we can decrease that MTTR within our small team, because we have to do this. And again, for media and entertainment, it could be at any hour.
Yeah.
So Thousand Eyes, we've proven that integration to work, and we're very happy with what's moving forward with the product. Like I said, in our new building, we also have a Cisco Nexus environment, and we are the new owners of Cisco Nexus Dashboard Fabric Controller and Insights. And we see a lot of opportunity there as well as we expand into our day two ops to have similar functionality, but more specifically tightened up between our Nexus platforms. So now that we're fully Nexus, we want to make sure we have end-to-end visibility from a north, south, east, west perspective of our gear in the TV studio. Because, what we do in our TV studio is we take all the content from the road, we edit it, we repackage it, we make cuts or whatever it is that's needed for our clients around the world, and then we send it out using our infrastructure. And that has very tight metrics tied around to it in terms of, hey, we just recorded Monday Night Raw. We have to get this packaged out to our client, within a certain time frame, which is an SLA that we have signed with them. Mm-hmm. So more than ever, our network intelligence within Nexus Dashboard is heavily relied upon. So we're still working out a lot of our tests and a lot of our efficiencies within the program, but especially being here at Cisco Live and hearing some of the enhancements and announcements that have been made within the platform, I think we're very excited to see what's going to be happening with the product. So I can see the tag team of Thousand Eyes and Nexus Dashboard really working hand in hand to help us more efficiently than ever before.
Love that. And before you came on the podcast today, I was doing a little research on you, and you've got a dual master's degree in management information systems and cybersecurity. So I've got to ask, how do you balance the need for network security with the demands of delivering high-quality live broadcast and those moments where it's just do it?
Yeah, so network security for us at WWE in the years past has been a little bit of an obscurity. So security in itself was managed by our corporate team. Mm. And in the recent years, we've been getting asked a lot about what are you doing, Ralph? What are you doing, TV engineering team, to help secure your network? Because you hear it all across the news, cybersecurity attacks, whatever it might be, ransomware, malware. It's news, and that news gets to our CTO, it gets to our CIO, and it comes down the chain. So more than ever before, we have to be aware of what we're doing on our network, and we have to be informed of how we're doing it. So for me, security kind of came inherently into it. And for me, being the type of person that welcomes things with open arms, if it makes sense, security was one of those things. So going to school and honing in on areas where I've learned about or I've spoken about, but I want to be more efficient on was the right choice to me. And to couple that with an information systems undergraduate and master's degree just made the right sense. And now I have the ability to speak and talk with members from our security team and also implement things from the networking side that are specific for TV. Because at the end of the day, Neil, we have to be secure, but we can't let that limit our performance of getting the show out or getting our content out and just essentially being on the air.
100% with you. And again, looking at your career as someone that has evolved from that help desk technician to a senior IT leadership role, is there any advice that you'd offer to any aspiring IT professionals? Maybe they're inspired by your own personal story here. Maybe they want to follow in your footsteps, looking to advance their career in maybe media and entertainment. Any advice?
I was thinking about that today as I was going through some of the sessions, especially for the IT leadership program here at Cisco Live. And the one thing that I can think about that I would say to any of my peers or anyone, even in general or in IT, if they want to expand their career, is don't be afraid to ask that question. And don't be afraid to get that answer no. Because the worst thing you could do is just get that answer no. But then you just keep on moving. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. And don't be afraid to be the best investor in yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. And your career is what matters and what defines you as you move through any portion of your life.
And your story is inspiring, but the inspiration behind you, there's so much more to that as well, because outside of your professional responsibilities, I was reading you volunteer at Operation Hope Food Pantry and have a passion for food insecurity. So again, how do you balance these commitments with your demanding role at WWE? And Do these experiences influence your work in some way as well? Any synergies there?
Yeah. So as I've been moving up in terms of leadership within the organization, within the engineering department, TV engineering, one of the things that is important to me is to give back.
Yeah.
And I asked myself the question, in what ways would it mean a lot to me to give back? And growing up with an Italian family, especially with my mother, always cooking a very hearty meal for the entire family and then some.
Yeah.
And we were a small family. We wanted to make sure that no one really left any food on their plate. And, when I thought about that question of how can I give back, it made a lot of sense to me to give back to an organization located in my hometown of Fairfield, Connecticut called Operation Hope. So they serve the greater Bridgeport, Connecticut area in terms of having a food kitchen, which I've worked at and help serve food to those in need in that area. And that's something that means a lot to me. And to be able to balance that with work, especially now in my enhanced leadership role within the team, it comes down to how can you give back? So I like being able to give back from a tech and mentorship perspective, but I also like to be able to give back for something that means a lot to me, which is making sure people are fed.
And if we look at Cisco Live here, it's an incredibly cool event. There's so much going on, so many big conversations on the show floor and so many big announcements. AI is predictably a big topic. What excites you about Cisco Live?
Yeah, I think the thing that most excites me about Cisco Live are the AI announcements. I mean, that's the hottest word right now too. That's something that we're exploring even on the WWE side, whichever facet that means. I think when you look at AI and you look at what you have right now, you want to make sure you can integrate it in the most secure way possible and the most efficient way possible. So that's something that is intriguing because you never want to be lost behind something that's emerging. So I want to make sure that door's open for me and for the company to explore that from a networking and security perspective. And Cisco Live is the perfect place to get that information about where it might be trending for the technology that we're using today, especially within WWE. The second thing about Cisco Live that I love to be a part of is things like this, Neil, where I can kind of give back, share my story, and kind of show how WWE, from a scale of I'm viewing it as a watcher or a viewer of the product, or I'm excited about sports entertainment, but you ask yourself the question, especially here as I was able to do a customer session last year, how does everything work behind the scenes? And what I like to do is I like to give back that knowledge to the tech individuals that are here who may be asking those questions. So it's kind of, again, important for me to kind of give back in that way as well, to represent the company, to kind of give my story, and then to inform others and maybe have them have their questions answered.
I think that's a powerful moment to finish on today. But before I do, WWE, huge social presence, huge website. Where would you like to point everyone listening if they want to find out more information about this kind of thing that we're talking about today?
Yeah, I would say from a fan perspective, of course, you can go to WWE.com. You can get all of the information you need for all of our superstars and where our events are and whatnot. We also have nestled in there our corporate site where you can kind of get a little more feedback and information on how we structure as an organization. And I would say if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the emails or links and descriptions that are on our website. And usually they get funneled back to us. Can I ask a question to you?
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be fun. When I asked this last year at my customer speaking session, you're going to be caught off guard on this, but
yeah, go for it.
So Neil, who is your favorite wrestler? And if you had to finish a move, what would it be?
Oh, Jake the Snake, DDT. No problem. All day long. But I was also a big Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage guy, Rowdy Roddy Piper. That was my kind of time. And a funny story there as well. I was inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk back in the day. And when I was doing the IT job, I used to listen to his thing, build the site, also doing all that kind of thing. Found out he was a big WWE fan as well. He's got a lot of figures in his office. And I met him. I interviewed him once in Armenia and once in backstage Las Vegas. And I bought him a British Bulldog WWE figure. So, yeah, there's a bit of a history there. But what about yourself?
I grew up being a Sting fan. Sting was my favorite wrestler. He worked for WCW at the time, which we acquired in, I believe, 2001. And actually, now that you asked me that question, when I was on the road, I had the distinct pleasure of meeting him and shaking his hand, which was not something that we typically do with our talent, but I was given that opportunity, and it was a childhood dream come true. So,
and favorite move?
Scorpion Death Drop.
Cool. Well, I think this is something we could talk about for many more hours. We'll hit the show floor again, but I think we covered so much in our episode today from your entire career, the inspiring stories that you shared and the work that you're doing outside of this, and also the advice that you've offered. And also love what you're doing with Cisco here, Thousand Eyes, how it's not confined to your fixed venues, but giving us a look behind the scenes almost at those company television trucks that we may or may not have seen. But more than anything, just thanks for sharing your story today, Ralph.
You're very welcome.
Wow. For me, what an incredible, fascinating dive into the world of wrestling and technology with Ralph Riley. And Ralph's journey from IT intern to directing WWE's broadcast IT operations, I think it illustrates the critical role technology plays in delivering high-octane excitement of live wrestling to a global audience. And by integrating Cisco's Thousand Eyes, WWE is not only enhancing their broadcast capabilities, but also ensuring that fans' experiences are uninterrupted, regardless of where they're watching in the world. But the real star of the show here is Ralph's passion for innovation, and I think it's only matched by his commitment to community service and personal growth. So as we wrap up today's episode, I'm left wondering about the future intersections of technology and entertainment. How will emerging technologies continue to transform the way that we experience everything from our favourite shows to favourite events? And this is where I ask you to share your thoughts and join the conversation about where tech meets entertainment, sports and music, concerts and everything in between. So please share your thoughts. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. Let me know your thoughts. Mr. John Cena, if you did listen to an episode, I cordially invite you to slide into my DMs now we follow each other on X too. But enough from me. It's time for me to get back out on the show floor. So thank you for listening today, and until next time, don't be a stranger.